right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at practice problem number 2 on our worksheet. A crane uses a force of 5,200 newtons to lift a girder 25 meters. How much work does the crane do to the girder? All right, first thing we need to do is identify the information that we have. So, right here, I see the word force and the number 5,200 newtons. So, that means my force equals 5,200 newtons. All right, next up, to lift a girder 25 meters. Well, there's another number, and I know that meters is a distance. So my distance equals 25 meters. All right, well, the question then becomes, how much work does the crane do? So I am solving for work. Well, if I look at my handy dandy formula triangle, I can go ahead and cover up my work and I'm left with distance and force. And they are side by side, so that means I multiply them. Work equals distance times force. So let's go over here and set this up. Work equals my distance, which is 25 meters, times my force, which is 5,200 newtons. So if I do the math there, my work is going to be 25 times 5,200, which is going to be 130,000. And my units are going to be a combination of newtons and meters. However, we know that you have to work for your joules. And therefore, we can't use this unit of newton meters. We need to combine it to make joules. So my work is going to be 130,000 joules. Alrighty, folks. Next up is practice problem number 8 on our worksheet. So let's check it out. A man does 2,100 joules of work while exerting a 700 Newton force on a refrigerator. How far did the man push it? All right, well, let's start off by identifying the information given to us. Well, right here, we've got 2,100 joules of work. So we know that our work equals 2,100 joules. Exerting a 700 Newton force, all right? So that tells us our force is 700 newtons. And we're asked how far, and that's going to be a distance, which is our unknown. Go ahead and cover up distance on our handy dandy formula triangle, and we see we end up with work over force, which means we do work divided by force. So let's go ahead and plug in all this information. Distance equals our work, which is 2,100 joules, divided by our force, 700 newtons. Now, while the math here is pretty simple, the issue becomes, well, what do I do with a unit? What is a joule per newton? Well, we can go ahead and break joule down into its base units. So instead of 2,100 joules, let's say 2,100 Newton meters, and then divide that by 700 newtons. By doing that, we now have units that we can work with. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out newtons on top and bottom, and then do my math. 2,100 divided by 7 is going to be 3, and my unit is going to be meters, which makes sense because I'm dealing with a distance. And so the man moved the refrigerator 3 meters.